right, guys, we're finally back at it again. Took a little bit of time off, had some vacation, had some time with family. So thanks for bearing with us. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And of course, thanks for sticking with us for those who are subscribed. I know it's very easy to jump ship when people don't produce a lot of content on a weekly or semi-weekly basis or bi-weekly basis. So thanks for sticking with us. We're back at with another video. We missed a lot of stuff in the Tesla world, but we're trying to catch up as quickly as possible and get you some of the latest videos before the latest FSD beta 10.13/10.69 comes out. But before we do that, I wanted to take a moment to share an experience that we had when we were on vacation, and that was using the Hertz Tesla rentals, and give you my impressions and thoughts on the rental process, tying in the Tesla experience with the Hertz rental experience, as well as some initial impressions on the 2022 Tesla Model 3, the build quality, the fit and finish, so on and so forth. Okay, quick disclaimer here, a little bit of a caveat here is that we actually recorded a lot of footage while we were out there for our Model 3, but a lot of it was actually compromised. So I'll use whatever I can in this particular video, but a lot of it was compromised. So I'm doing it this way as opposed to doing it live like we did it and actually filmed it on vacation. Okay, so let me first jump into it right now. First and foremost, talking about the Hertz experience and how happy I am, and everybody is, that Hertz now has an official presence for renting Teslas within their organization, within their coverage of insurance, within their coverage of locations around the US and wherever else they service. So that's a good thing, to be able to rent Teslas reliably as opposed to relying on individual owners through something like Turo. You can rely on a fleet. You can rely on the cleanliness of it, if so to speak, the maintenance and upkeep of it, as well as just the availability of the different Hertz locations throughout the US at the very least. All right, so that's a really good thing, a real positive thing. In terms of the experience of booking, it was really easy. They have high availability for Model 3. Unfortunately, we didn't even realize that they also have Model Ys as well. So that was pretty interesting surprise. We found that out when we actually got there. It didn't pop up on the site immediately when we were looking to book that particular term. But for Model 3s, they're highly available. The downside is because they're highly available and they're pretty cool, and because the margins are pretty solid in terms of electricity versus gas, in terms of the cost for Hertz, they cost a lot. They're about a couple $100s a day, depending, again, where you are and what their inventory looks like. But as you see here, lots of great features of the Tesla experience. I'll tell you and talk to you about how they marry and how they gel and mesh together, the two experiences of renting a car and actually having the Tesla experience, things that I like and things that I don't like. But it's pretty straightforward. You go on the site, you book a reservation, you can book it for however many days, and I guess the only limiting factor is going to be availability for the location you're looking for, as well as the cost, right? So again, they can be pretty high. It could be really low depending on where you are. It really just depends. For us, you know, it was about $200, $300 something per day, which was pretty expensive. Call it $200 a day with the insurance, with the child seats and all that good stuff, which is also a good positive for having something like a Hertz have a Tesla, because if you rent them from anyone else individually, you have to bring your own child seat, and that's not cool to have to lug that around on planes and such. So good for Hertz for having that. But the experience was pretty cool, and what they also promise you is a touchless experience. So you basically are going to reserve your car, you get the app, you reserve it, you do your thing, and then when it's time for pickup, you go to the location. It's supposed to be a touchless experience. And I thought about this, like, how's it going to be touchless? Are they going to use the app? Are they going to give you a key fob? What are they going to do? And what wound up happening is that it wasn't as touchless as they made it seem out to be. You had to actually go talk to someone, go to the counter, do the whole signing of papers and paperwork and all that good stuff. Get your child seat, and then they give you an actual key. But the key is not a key fob. It's actually a key card encased in plastic with a key ring on it, which is a pretty horrible experience. Probably my worst part of the experience for us. And I'll talk about that in just a bit. All right. But you pick the car up. You have access to the Tesla experience. It's not limited in any way, the car itself. It doesn't have like valet mode or some kind of lock features or speed limit mode. So it's locked. You have full control of the car, including the ability to do software updates. So that was pretty cool. So full control of the car. You have access to everything the car has to offer. You can modify all your settings. You can, they have, I guess, basic autopilot, or maybe it's called enhanced autopilot by the time of this video, where you can have autopilot on the highway, so on and so forth. No automatic lane changes and things like that. We'll talk about that in a second. But overall, again, the experience was pretty good until it promised a touchless experience that wasn't actually touchless, which was a little bit disappointing. Would love for them to be able to just have a key that you could pick up securely and then go to the car and go from there. That'd be pretty cool. Or if you already own a Tesla, maybe there's a way that they can add the car to your app temporarily on a timed basis and then remove it once it's done. That would also be cool as well for existing Tesla owners. But if you're not an existing Tesla owner, they give you the key, the key card and you go from there. But again, it shouldn't have to be going to a person to do that and then going on from there. All right, otherwise the car was pretty solid. My initial impressions of the 2022 Model 3 is that it's much more refined, just like all of Teslas. As they iterate over time, they learn new things, they trickle them down to new products. So it's got all the cool features. It's got the blacked out elements on the side, you know, so sort of a chrome delete around the side from an outside perspective. Very clean, very crisp. The one that we had was low mileage, so it's pretty brand new. Interior wise, solid build all around. And the cabin was also quieter than before because it has the dual pane glass and insulation for soundproofing, which is great. Not quite as quiet and as silent as the Model S Plaid and the new Model S Palladium refresh, but it was still pretty significantly more quieter than the previous Model 3s. So that was a good thing to see. No real major issues. Again, low mileage here, so I probably hadn't seen a lot of use through the rental car experience. So no squeaks, no rattles, nothing like that. Everything was pretty solid and ready to go. The design was pretty good as well. The acceleration was there. You know, it wasn't a performance model, it was just a standard model. It's what they had. Again, I didn't know they had the Model Ys. Would love to have tried the Model Y performance, but unfortunately when we actually got there and tried to switch, someone had already reserved it. So too bad for us there. That's probably why they didn't show it to us in the first place. But, you know, it is what it is. But overall, yeah, really good build quality on the 2022 Model 3. Again, much more refined from the earlier versions, from the early initial Model 3s to even the further iterations beyond that. This is probably the best Model 3 to date in terms of build quality, soft touch materials, a lot of the similar materials that you see in the Model S. Model S is basically an enhanced Model 3 at this point with some of the similar design cues. It uses the Model 3 motors for both Plaid and Standard, which is kind of interesting. So it's pretty much using that same component. So they actually had that consistent throughout. So the same quality that you're going to get here, you're also going to get in the Model 3, just not quite as refined fully as it is on the Model S, which should be expected given the price difference. Okay. But otherwise, yes, everything was pretty good there in terms of build quality, in terms of comfort. Model 3 was a little bit small for our taste, but we were able to get it in. The car seat that Hertz provided was a little bit of a booster seat. It fit in pretty well, just wasn't able to hook in for additional support for like the ISOFIX latches and things like that. But it was still pretty solid. It went through the seatbelt went in. Obviously for insurance purposes and legal purposes, they can't install it for you. So they give it to you wrapped in a plastic bag and you open it up to show that, you know, it's actually clean and sanitized, and then you can install it yourself. All right. So from a family perspective, it was pretty good. And the ride was pretty good as well in the 2022 Model 3. But one of the things that we loved about it is the fact that we had full autonomy to the car. We can set it up however we wanted to. This would be a good option to have the cloud profiles where we can sort of load our presets from our existing cars in here. But for a new person who's never had a Tesla before and wanted to rent and get the experience of having a Tesla in a Hertz environment, it was pretty solid in terms of what you get in terms of access to the car and what you can have. All right. Exterior quality was there. I can't say anything bad about it. Can't say anything bad about the experience overall. The only thing I can really say about it that I really disliked, it was really much a pain in the butt and really took away from the Tesla experience, was the fact that they gave you the key card. They gave you a key card encased in plastic on a key ring. And unfortunately, that key card is not a primary use key card. It's not intended to be used daily to get inside your car. It's supposed to be used for valet purposes, for temporary purposes, specifically when you're talking about just moving your car infrequently. But if you're talking about getting it out of your car very often, key card is not an ideal approach. So what wound up happening is you wind up having to take the key card, and every time you get in the car, because it's the Model 3 versus the Model S, you have to keep your key card down here, right here in the charging pad area, which is a much more convenient place to put it because it can actually store there. Model 3, unfortunately, you have to have the key card down here by underneath the armrest in a weird place. You have to touch it there in order to start the car. So what winds up happening is, one, you have to tap the key card to the side of the door panel. to open the car. So it can't open from any other door but the driver's side door. And then you have to place your key card on the specific designated spot underneath the armrest where it doesn't sit well in order for you to drive. So now you have to place it there, then get the car started, then put the key card away, secure it, and then take off and drive and go from there. And that was super, super annoying to do, especially on a hot day on a vacation. Kids are screaming and yelling and, you know, doing their thing, and it's hot and you want to get inside and get some air. You can't even do that. You can't precondition the car because you don't have the app. And so you're getting into a hot car, having to fiddle around with a key card every single time you get in the car. Super duper annoying with this big bulky key encased in plastic that doesn't travel well either with you. So definitely my biggest gripe with the Hertz Tesla experience has to be that key card. They have to figure out a better way. The key fob will be even better because you can remote unlock the door, all the doors. That'd be great. You can get the unlock on approach versus unlock when you touch the key, the key card to the pillar, which is a more seamless experience, right? And you have the ability to open up the trunk and the frunk as needed for strollers and groceries or luggage or whatever the case may be in a much more seamless manner than using that key card. That key card is just definitely not a great option for a Tesla rental, to have the Tesla experience, because you lose a lot of the benefits of having the Tesla, the seamless integration with opening and unlocking your doors and getting in, being able to sit down, put your seatbelt on, press the pedal and go. You lose all of that. And now it becomes like a standard car, but even more annoying because you have to fiddle around with the key card. So super down on that. Really wish they would change it to a key fob, or for existing Tesla owners, they would even give them access through the app. That way they wouldn't have to have a card at all. They have temporary timed access. And then when the time ends, they either invent a system or have a person manually go in and remove that card from that person's app. And there you go, you know, or have a different sign in for that person where you could sign in with your, you know, Hertz login as opposed to your traditional login, and it loads up that card. That would be even better as well. So just some different options here to, again, retain that Tesla experience, because it just doesn't marry well with the Hertz rental car experience when it comes to entry and exit, ingress and egress of the car, and just accessing the fundamental features of the car that are very useful and valuable. And they have autopilot, which was great. I think the only downside about the autopilot is that it didn't have the auto lane change, which was super annoying. I forgot what it was like to have autopilot without auto lane change. I know it's first world problems, but just being able to have to disengage autopilot, make a lane change, and then re-engage was also pretty cumbersome and annoying. Again, first world problems, because we knew autopilot through its infancy when it first started out like that. And now it's, you know, it's separated and delineated by cost. So you pay more, you can get that. If you don't have the money to pay it, or you don't want to pay that money, then you don't have that feature. So I understand that. But that was super annoying. But otherwise, autopilot was pretty straightforward. And again, the biggest gripe for me was just that experience of ingress and egress for the car, access to the car with the key fob. And I think for me, the other part of it was that the Model 3 and Model Y, that one screen experience really hurt my eyes trying to look to this side of the screen as opposed to looking straight in front of us like we're used to doing. So that was pretty awkward for me to drive for like a whole week or so, just driving the Model 3 again after not driving it for a while, getting adjusted to having to look at everything on this side of the screen. So otherwise it was pretty good. Drop off was good. Even though the paperwork and the system is still designed for gasoline cars, so it asks you how much gas did you put in the car, so on and so forth. We did not have to refuel it. Everything that accrues in the car is going to get billed to you retroactively as you use it on your credit card. So if you are using tolls, or you go through tolls, they'll bill you through your credit card after the fact. If you're getting supercharging, they'll bill you afterwards through the credit card. However, I don't think I actually got billed for the supercharging. We did about $20 worth of supercharging. I don't think we got billed for that. But the range was pretty good on the Model 3. This was the long range version that we had. Range was pretty good. We were able to drive a few days without having to refuel terribly. And we didn't have destination charging either. So it was pretty good just sitting out in the sun, doing all the BMS stuff that it needs to do to stay cool and keep the batteries cool. It wasn't necessary to charge that often. So that was pretty good, pretty impressive for the Model 3. I really didn't find anything wrong with it, and I didn't really find anything wrong with the build quality of the Model 3. It's a solid car. Obviously, they increased the prices on everything right now. I don't think it's valued equally to the price and the value that you get when it was priced a little bit lower, but it's still a quality car. I would not necessarily spend $200, $300 a day on the Model 3. I probably would opt to spend that type of money on the Model Y because I get more space from it. But, you know, it's a beginning. It's a start. And I know that Hertz is actually adding more cars to their fleet over time, and so on and so forth. And this is the way to go. They have destination chargers inside of their facility where they actually store the car so they can charge. They probably get a discounted rate on their charging as well. So it works out for them better. No gasoline, none of that stuff. It was all good. Okay. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've actually rented from Hertz a Tesla Model 3 or Model Y. Let me know what you thought of the experience. But at the end of the day, I think we need to really get down to understanding what's the best way to access the car in a rental fleet. Is it going to be through the app, or should it be through a key fob? It should definitely not be through a valet key card. Okay, so Hertz, if you're listening, definitely change that up. Bite the bullet and buy some key fobs. Buy some batteries, buy some key fobs, and give out the key fobs as opposed to the key card. A much better experience for everybody involved. You really get to showcase the value of a Tesla and really get to justify the prices that you're charging for these Teslas by making it super easy, much more convenient than gas cars. No need to fill up there. Seamless supercharging experience, which was great to have. Again, just being able to have the quality of the newer, latest Tesla Model 3 and Model Ys there, which is awesome. Okay, so let me know your thoughts in the comments, and until the next time.
Enjoy the day.